It's the early hours of October 28, 1984. Tampa, Florida. A patrol officer is cruising along a quiet stretch of road when his headlights sweep across something odd, a car, pulled off to the side, engine off. Two men slumped inside. Asleep. He runs the plates. Pulls them out. Finds marijuana. Finds a concealed weapon. 2 arrests. Routine. Forgettable. Except for one detail. There was supposed to be a third person in that car. Her name was Lucinda Huels. She was 17 years old. She was a mother of 2. And the night she disappeared, she vanished so completely, so suddenly, that it would take nearly 4 decades, a serial killer's denial, and one of the most bizarre identity hoaxes in Florida history before her case would get the attention it deserved. Tins Lucinda Huels was born on April 6, 1967. She went by her middle name, Lucinda. She was the oldest of 3 children and grew up in Hillsborough County, Florida. By most standards, her life had moved very fast. She became pregnant at 14. By April of 1982, she had married the baby's father, a 19-year-old man named Larry Huels. Their son Tony was born in 1982. 2 years later, in 1984, they welcomed a daughter named Deanna. She was 17 years old with 2 children and a marriage. Most teenagers her age were worried about homework and Friday night plans. But for Lucinda, it was diapers, rent, a baby crying in the middle of the night, laundry piling up around her. And somehow, she was still holding it together. But here's the thing, by all accounts, she wasn't running from any of it. She reportedly loved being a mom and caring for her children. Though she was known to occasionally party and smoke marijuana, it never got in the way of her caring for them. By the time of her disappearance, she was about to start a part-time job, as well as plan her son's 2nd birthday party. She wasn't checked out. She wasn't drifting. She was building something, piece by piece, in the only way she knew how. Which is exactly what makes the events of October 1984 so hard to reconcile. On the evening of Saturday, October 27, 1984, Lucinda left her home to go to the laundromat at around 9 p.m., near 40th and Bush Boulevard in Tampa. Her husband Larry gave her money for the wash. The plan was simple. Go, do laundry, come back. She took the car. She took the clothes. And then, she didn't come back. Now, what happened next is a little harder to piece together, because the timeline gets muddy fast. But here's what investigators were eventually able to confirm from witness statements. At some point that evening, Lucinda's friend Nika Owens claimed that Lucinda came by her apartment, which happened to be in the same building where Lucinda and her family lived, and she changed into a white shirt and white pants. She came home, or close to it. She was there. She changed. And then she left again. Along with a third friend named Linda Simmons, Lucinda and Nika went out for drinks at the Charpal Lounge. The Charpal, a bar on East Bush Avenue in Tampa, not far from Busch Gardens. It was a regular kind of place. Low-key. Local crowd. Nothing unusual about it on the surface. But that bar is where the evening shifted. At the bar, Lucinda began talking to a man named Larry Moore. He told her he owned a sign-making and cleaning business and offered her a job, and she agreed to start work in 2 days. Think about that from Lucinda's perspective. She was 17, she had 2 kids, she was already lining up a part-time job. And here's a man, a stranger, telling her he runs a business and wants to hire her. That's not suspicious to a teenager trying to get ahead. That's an opportunity. So she talked to him. She stayed at the bar. And at some point during the night, her friends left. Not all at once. Not dramatically. Just, one by one. Until Lucinda was alone. With him. That was the last confirmed sighting of Tin's Lucinda Huels. Just like that. A normal night. A bar. A stranger with a job offer. And then, nothing. The next morning, those 2 men were found asleep on the roadside, Larry Moore and another man, later identified as James "Jimmy" Sapp. They were arrested for marijuana possession and a concealed weapon. Lucinda wasn't with them. And at that point, she hadn't been reported missing. So law enforcement had no reason to connect those 2 sleeping men in a car to a missing teenage girl. As far as the officers knew, it was just a routine stop. Moore was questioned later, when Lucinda's disappearance did come to light. When he was questioned about her disappearance, he said he didn't know where she was. That was it. Lucinda's vehicle was found later that night in the parking lot of the Charpal. The clothing she had taken to wash was found neatly folded in the car. This is one of those details that hits differently the longer you think about it. She had gone to do laundry. The laundry was done. It was clean. It was folded. Not rushed. Not abandoned. Finished. Like she fully expected to come back. And then her car just sat there. Her keys were missing. So she had her keys. She had access to her car. But she didn't get in it. Or, someone made sure she didn't. 2 weeks after her disappearance, her purse was found in the men's bathroom at the Busch Gardens Zoo campground, with her cash, driver's license, and marriage certificate inside it. The men's bathroom. Not the women's. Not outside. Placed. Her cash was still there. Her ID was still there. This wasn't a robbery. This wasn't random. This purse was placed somewhere, deliberately, in a location that made no sense for Lucinda to have been in on her own. Whoever left it there wasn't trying to hide it. They were making sure it would be found. And that changed everything. Lucinda left behind 2 children. A son who was barely 2. A daughter who would grow up never knowing her. Her family didn't believe she would have abandoned them. The investigation that followed was, by most accounts, frustratingly thin. In 1984, missing persons cases didn't move the way they do today. There was no central database. No rapid coordination. You filed a report. And hoped something came back. Larry Moore remained in the background of the case, never charged, never cleared. Police photographed him. Questioned him. Held on to the firearm found during his arrest. They suspected something. But suspicion isn't proof. Meanwhile, Lucinda's husband searched their home for answers. He found nothing. But he didn't trust the story from the people who were with her that night. He believed her friends knew more than they were saying. And then there was something else. According to Lucinda's son, someone connected to that same group had recently flashed a gun and made threats. Not directly at Lucinda, but close enough to matter. Close enough to raise a question. What kind of situation did she walk into that night? Then came the name that changed everything. Bobby Joe Long. He was active in Tampa in 1984. He later admitted to killing 10 women in just 8 months. Same city. Same time. Same pattern. Young women. Alone. Often approached with offers. Rides. Opportunities. It lined up. Too well. Investigators looked closely at him. And this is where the case stops making sense. Because Bobby Joe Long didn't deny his crimes. He admitted them. In detail. Except this one. He insisted he had nothing to do with Lucinda. Even before his execution in 2019, he maintained that position. And that creates a problem. Because if he was telling the truth, then someone else was responsible. And that brings the focus right back to the last man seen with her. Larry Moore. A man whose own ex-wife later described him as not a good person. He's now deceased. Whatever he knew, if he knew anything, is gone with him. 8 years passed. No answers. No closure. Then in 1992, the phone rang. A woman claimed to be Lucinda. She said she ran away. Said she couldn't handle the responsibility. Said she had been living under a different name. The family listened. And they believed her. Not because it made sense, but because it ended the pain. They brought her home. She looked like Lucinda. She knew things only Lucinda should know. She lived with them. Ate with them. Became part of their lives again. 4 months. Then investigators stepped in. There was one detail they could verify. A burn scar on Lucinda's leg. The woman had it. And for a moment, everything pointed to this being real. Until it didn't. Blood tests revealed the truth. She wasn't Lucinda. She was an Arkansas woman named Amanda Dennis. And just like that, the family lost Lucinda all over again. But here's the part that still doesn't make sense. This was 1992. No internet. No easy access to personal details. So how did she know? What only Lucinda should have known. Details that convinced a husband. A son. A family. This wasn't guesswork. It was specific. Accurate. And that raises a possibility that's never been fully answered. What if Amanda had met Lucinda? Somewhere after that night. Somewhere no one ever traced. If that's true, then she may be one of the only people who knows what really happened. And whatever she knew never fully came out. Lucinda's daughter grew up without her. Her son grew up searching for her. Trying to piece together a memory from fragments. That's what happens in cases like this. The story doesn't end. It just stays open. Unanswered questions don't fade. They settle. And over time, they become something permanent. Her family has carried that weight for decades. Not just the loss, but the uncertainty.